everyone, and welcome to Talking Over Tea. Today we wanted to share the books that we're going to read this fall, or at least some of them. We have our iced tea because it is still not cold enough to drink hot tea in the middle of the day. But yeah, Maddie's gonna start with her first one.
So the first book that I picked is A Darkness at the Door by Intezar Kanani. This is the third book in the Dauntless Path series, and this was a book I really wanted to put on my TBR. I read the second book in the series, The Theft of Sunlight, last fall, so I thought it would be perfect to read the next one this fall, and I have been waiting for the third book to come out ever since I read the second one. The first book I wrote a review on our blog, and I really loved that book. It is a loose retelling of The Goose Girl. It was very different from most YA books that I had ever read, and I really liked it. So if you want to learn a little more about this series, you can go read that post. But I'm really excited for this third book because the second book ended on a very big cliffhanger, and I have been waiting a long time to read it. So we also wanted to say some things that we're hoping these books will be, and also what we think we're going to rate it. Based on the other two books, I think I will at least rate it a 4-star, but I also think it's really possible that I will rate it 5 stars. And I'm hoping that this book will have the beautiful prose that the other two had and just be deeper than the normal YA book and have a message like the other ones did.
The first book on my TBR is Of Fire and Ash by Gillian Bronte Adams. I've heard some good things about this book. The author of this book narrated the audiobooks for the Blood of Kings series by Jill Williamson, which is a series that we both like. So this book follows Ceridwen, I think that's how you pronounce it, and she wants to rule like her father, but when invaders come to their country, she has to take the throne. What I'm hoping that this book will be is kind of adventurous and thrilling, and I'm also hoping it's kind of going to be like the Blood of Kings series maybe. I don't want it to be super boring, which I kind of might suspect because it just sounds like a very high fantasy kind of book, which is not always my thing. But the fall always makes me want to read fantasy, so this one just kind of sounded like a good one to try. It's kind of long, but I'm hoping that'll be a good thing instead of a bad thing. I am thinking that this will either get a 3 or a 4. It's really hard to know because fantasy can go either way for me, so I'm not really sure what it's going to be.
So the next book I picked is Palace of Stone by Shannon Hale. This is the second book in the Princess Academy series, which I've also written a blog post about. So after the last book, the main character Miri wants to give herself more of an education, and she travels to Aslan. I can't say a whole lot because it spoils the first book, and I don't really know what this is about, but I'm thinking this will probably be a 4-star. I'm hoping this will be kind of like as lighthearted as the last one, just kind of an easier read, but it's still really good.
Sure. Next, I have The Sign of the Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I have it in this very fall collection of Sherlock Holmes books. So this is the second novel in the Sherlock Holmes series, and I kind of like to read one of these every fall because they're just very autumnal, and it's just kind of become my tradition over the last couple of years. So basically all I know about this one is that there is a young woman whose father died about 10 years ago, and ever since she's received a gift from some unknown benefactor, and she wants to find out who. I really liked the one that I read last year, so I'm hoping that this one will be similar and have all the Sherlock Holmes vibes and autumnal feel to it. I'm suspecting I'll rate this one 4, which has been the theme so far of all of the Sherlock Holmes books that I've read.
My next book is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clark. This is one of the books that I bought in our thrift books haul. I don't really know a whole lot about this. I don't know why I bought it at the time, but I think I heard about this from Joy Clarkson's podcast, and I think she talked about really liking this book. It is very long, which is why I have not read it. It's been like a year since I got it. So I decided it's finally time. It just looks very fall to me. The title's kind of mysterious, and I don't really know much about it. So I was reading the inside cover, and it says that it is 1806, and there are like 2 magicians left in England.
I've heard it's kind of like Harry Potter a little bit, but like more studious or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know much about this. There are 2 magicians. One of them takes the other on as an apprentice, kind of, or no, as like a pupil, and then something like starts happening to him. Oh, he becomes obsessed with the founder of English magic, a shadowy 12th century figure known as the Raven King. I don't know. I'm thinking this will be a 4 or 5. I've got very high ratings in this TBR, but just based on who recommended it and who I've seen reading it, I think it'll be really good. And I'm hoping this will be kind of mysterious and fallish and just a little bit studious. I haven't read anything that's like very hard in a long time, so I'm kind of hoping it'll be a little bit out of my comfort zone at the moment.
Next, I have Blood Secrets by Morgan L. Bussey, which is the second book in the Sky World duology. I read the first book earlier this year, I think, and I thought it was pretty good. It's about a world where there is mist that engulfs everything, and everyone is just trying to survive it because it is deadly, and they keep having to move up higher and higher and get away from it. And a couple of the characters are finally trying to put a stop to it and figure out what it is and why it is destroying everyone. I thought book 1 was fairly good. I think I gave it 3.5 stars. I'm hoping that this one will be just as good or maybe better, and I'm hoping it'll be kind of eerie and a little bit spooky and steampunk, which was the first one. I don't love steampunk, but it was kind of interesting in the other one, in book 1, and I'm hoping that those kind of elements and themes will be continued in this one. I'll probably at least give it a 3.5 star, but hopefully maybe a 4.
My next book is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. This has been on my TBR for a really long time, and I just have never gotten around to reading it. So I just decided to finally put it on my TBR, and if I put it on my TBR, hopefully I'll actually read it. I don't really know a whole lot about the actual story, other than it's like a lot darker than the Disney movie. But it has such a cute little cover, and I want to find out what it actually is. It doesn't really have any fall vibes to me, but maybe I'll be surprised or something. I don't know. With books like this, I usually rate like classic children's books really high, but I'm not sure about this one. I feel like it might be not what I'm thinking it's gonna be, so it could range from like a 2.5 to a 4, but it might. I'm gonna say it'll be a little higher. I'm gonna say 4. I'm hoping it will just be like an enchanting little book, something that's not too hard, but it still has like the classic children's book feel that I love.
Next, I have The Story Girl by Ellen Montgomery, and this follows a 14-year-old girl named Sarah who is very good at telling stories, and everyone is very captivated by her and her tales that she makes up and tells everyone in the town of Carlisle. I am really looking forward to this. I am expecting it to be a 5-star book, and I'm hoping that it will have all of the Ellen Montgomery charm that I know and love already, and I'm just hoping it'll be very similar to her other books and just have the writing style and the characters and all those things that I love about her writing.
It's easy, or it's easy, and now you know more videos for you.
Okay. So my next book is The Case of Miss Elliott by Baroness Orczy. My next book is The Case of Miss Elliott by Baroness Orczy. This is the second book in the Tea House Detective series, and the first book, The Old Man in the Corner, is a bunch of separate stories about an old man who solves all these cases just by sitting in a cafe. And I think the second book is going to follow that same structure. I think, like we've said a lot of times before, we just think mystery just feels perfect for fall, so that's mostly why I chose it, and also because I really liked the first book. So I'm hoping that this one will also be a 4-star like the other one, and I'm just hoping that this will be just a fun mystery book.
Next, I have A Wind in the Door by Madeline L'Engle. And this is the sequel to A Wrinkle in Time. I have read this before, but it has been a long time, and I've never finished the Time Quintet before. I kind of picked this because it looks very autumnal on the cover, and I'm expecting this to be maybe 3 stars.
So the next book I picked is the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis. This is a book that I have tried to read This is a book that I have tried to read twice, but I just was never like really wanting to read it. I picked this book for our 1-week reading challenge like 2 years ago, and that is actually when I started reading it, but then I just gave up because I was like, this is gonna take me forever. So I stopped reading it and I never picked it back up. I know that I'm really gonna like this if I actually just read it, but it has been a little bit daunting to me for some reason. This is probably going to be a 5 star just because it's a C.S. Lewis book. I'm hoping that this book will be a good book, but also that it will teach me things and it will make me think.
Next, I have The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper, which is the second book in the Dark is Rising series. I have this collection of the whole 5-book series that I got for $1, and I talked about it in one of our book hauls. I've tried to read this several times, but I just need to force myself to. It was on our camping TBR, and I think I've tried to start it a couple times before that too. So this book follows Will on the eve of his 11th birthday, and he finds out that he has some kind of power. I don't know if this is going to be fall-like at all. It could be a 2 or 3 star book, but I'm hoping that it will just be better than I'm thinking it's going to be.
My last book is the collected poems of Emily Dickinson. I recently was looking back at goals that we had set at the beginning of the year for what we wanted, and pretty much my goal was to read nonfiction and poetry, and I have not done that in the slightest. So I really wanted to try this fall to actually get some of those goals. And I have had this book for a really long time. I'm going to try to read a little bit of this every night before I read whatever other book I'm reading. That really worked for me when I read my last nonfiction book. I don't think I've really read much Emily Dickinson poetry before, maybe a couple poems for school. So I'm hoping that I'll really like it, and I hope this will be a good book to kind of introduce me to poetry a little more. This will probably be a 3 or 4 star, and yeah, poetry feels a little bit autumnal for some reason. Like I could just imagine myself reading it in the fall leaves or something. But yeah, I hope I'll get it and I'll actually kind of like poetry a little more.
Lastly, I have Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix by J.K. Rowling. This will be my 2nd time reading this book. It is huge, and that is the reason why I have not read it this year. It's been one that I've had in the back of my mind to read since January, so I'm really excited to finally get into this one. And yeah, it's been so long, I barely remember it. Pretty much all I remember is the movie for this one, so yeah, it's like, let's see. It's 870 pages, but I'm expecting it to be at least a 4-star book. I'm hoping that it will give me the like autumnal academic vibes that I have missed this year so far in my reading. I'm looking forward to finally getting to this one.
So those were all the books that we picked for our fall TBR. We are very excited for the fall season, and we have been waiting to wear sweaters and get all cozy and read cozy books and drink hot tea. So we're very excited for this, and we're hoping that we will really like these books, and we're excited to start doing some fall videos and just some fun stuff like that. We would love to hear of any books that you're reading this fall, or any books that you think are very autumnal or just fit the season. We want to thank you for watching this video, and we will see you in our next one.